Welcome to this week's Future Toolbox podcast. We explore the Z to A of life skills, where each letter stands for a topic and essential tool to help you get ahead in life. Meet Jules and Mark, creators of the multi-award-winning Future Toolbox, and enjoy their straightforward approach to creating growth mindsets that help people turn their dreams into realities. Whether you're a teen in education, a parent, a teacher, or part of a community group, start creating positive habits from today.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Z to A of Life, the Future Toolbox podcast. I am Mark and this is Jules.
Hello and a very warm welcome to you all.
So this week's letter is D for desires.
Oh, now when we say D is for desires, it's not romantic desires.
No, of course not. We're talking about needs versus wants this week. So what exactly do we mean by needs versus wants?
Well, funny you should ask because I'm going to tell you.
Yay!
Yay! So a need is something that is a necessity or an essential item required for life. So that can be, for example, things like food, water, shelter, oxygen, things like that. And without these, we wouldn't survive, would we?
So I guess another necessity in life is internet, isn't it?
Always. Where would we be without the internet?
So we can't survive with internet, oxygen, water and food.
Yes.
In that order, probably.
Probably in that order.
But joking aside, you are right. So food, oxygen, water, they're things that we need to basically live, don't we?
Basically survive, yes. And the difference between a need and a want is wanting something is quite sometimes an unnecessary thing, but desired, hence the D is for desire. So we think, I really want that because we believe it's going to increase the quality of our lives.
Yeah, wants are things that people desire or like to have, but I guess they're not necessary for survival.
No, not like the things that we actually need in life. But every person, they have different desires or wants.
It could be like a big house or a fast car.
Fast car. Ooh,
Yeah.
Why does it have to be a fast car?
It's a fast car, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
that's
can't
it.
break the speed limit. It's illegal, but people always want fast cars.
But sexy at the same time.
Yeah, that is true. What about wanting designer labels?
Yes. A lot of people really are fixated on making sure that whatever they're wearing is the latest brand or get bought into the social media hype of you've got to wear this.
And another one is you could want a nice holiday.
Oh, yeah.
And that brings me on to the note of there's nothing wrong with having desires or wants. So somebody's probably sitting there thinking, yeah, I need all those things to survive, but I still want a nice house. I still want a nice car. I want to go on holiday. I want to have my designer brands. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And wants change over time as well. Something that you talked about, a fast car. When you're young, the idea of having a really flashy sports car is fantastic, isn't it? It's something that it's almost like makes you the person that you are. But as you get older and perhaps have a family, that wants changes to maybe to a need.
Yeah.
You maybe need a different car to service your family.
Yeah, I used to have a picture of a Ferrari and a picture of a Porsche on my bedroom wall when I was a kid because I wanted a Porsche or I wanted a Ferrari.
Have you ever had one?
No, but I'm happy with my Mini. I love the Mini. It's such a cool car, isn't it? But yeah, as you say, that desire has massively changed because I don't think I really want a Ferrari now. If you gave me one for nothing
I was gonna say,
and said have a go in it,
yeah.
But it's not my priority in life anymore. So yeah, we do change, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And for example, when you're a teenager or a young adult looking at your career or job, something that you wanted when you were younger could actually change as you get older and get more experienced at stuff. And you might think, do you know what? I'd rather have my own business than a job.
What did you want to do when you were a kid?
There's many things, but I know the one that tickles you the most. One of the things that I wanted to do as a child is I wanted to join the Air Force. Following in my mum's footsteps, she joined the Air Force for, I think it was not even 48 hours. They put a gas mask on her and she has a massive phobia of that and she couldn't do it and she left. But I didn't even sign up because one of the things that I thought was hugely exciting was I wanted to paint the airplanes, specifically the circles on the RAF planes. until my dad pointed out that they were probably transfers and, you're not going to paint them. And so that ended that desire.
One of my favourite stories, that one.
What about you? What did you want to be?
Yeah.
Without any influence from anybody else, what was it, anything that you thought, I really would love to do that? What was your desire?
It's really hard to say without influence, because there was a bit of influence where I wanted to work in a bank or an estate agent's.
I could never imagine you being a banker.
A banker, no. I did do a estate agency and I did work in a building society, and I absolutely love those jobs. So going straight from school into a building society, brilliant, loved it. Banking £1 million every day, it's fascinating. They were all by cheque, when people used to pay by cheque. But my desire was to climb the career ladder and work my way up to be a manager. I don't want to manage people.
No.
That's the last thing I want to do now. And certainly being an author, a podcaster, a YouTuber, a blogger and all those sorts of things, motivational speaker, that's way off.
One of the things that I wanted to do as a young child, and I loved libraries. My dad used to take us to the library every week, and I don't know what it was about it, but there was something that inspired me that I wanted to be a librarian. So therefore, one summer holiday, I set about getting all the books that we had at home, and we had loads of books, and I set up a library, and I had all the little pockets in the front of them and little cards, and nobody was allowed to pick a book unless they came to me, and I stamped it out and they had a week to read the book. That was the closest I ever got to being a librarian. But maybe now, obviously, being authors, and I do love reading, and I think books are fascinating, wonderful things, so that passion is still there.
And I guess you have to be quiet to work in a library, and I don't know how long you'd last for.
What are you saying now? Don't shut up.
But you just want to talk to everybody, wouldn't you? And talk to them about books and everything.
I would.
I'd be exactly the same. I don't think I could do that long being quiet.
Oh,
I'd probably
actually,
last less time than your mum did in the Air Force.
In the Air Force. Something else that I always thought was very glamorous. Well, the two things actually, now I think about it, that I always thought was very, very glamorous and I really fancy doing. One of them was I wanted to be an air hostess. I just thought, wow, travelling the world and seeing all those amazing places would be fantastic. And if I couldn't do that, for some bizarre reason, I thought being a receptionist in a very glamorous hotel would be wonderful. So again, if you look back to that's what my sort of desires or wants were, we do a lot of travelling now. We are authors, so maybe there is that kind of link.
There was something there. I guess you pay to go on holidays now as opposed to being an air hostess or being paid to work in a hotel.
However, I did work in the travel industry for a number of years.
You did.
I was not so much paid to go away, but I got free trips, and that was amazing.
I've just had a real thought about needs and wants overlapping. We love travel. Mm-hmm. We need to go on holiday.
Always.
But we also want to. But joking aside, if we go back to those survival points early on, we said people need food, water and oxygen to survive.
Internet, you said.
And internet, of course, yeah. But let's think about food, for instance. But people need food to survive, but do they need ice cream?
I would say no, because I don't like ice cream.
That's a desire, isn't it?
It is a desire. So food in itself, you need food to give you nutrition and energy, but ice cream is not going to do that.
I'm going to stick you on the spot here.
Oh, no.
Do you need a cup of tea every morning?
Absolutely.
That's definitely a need.
It is a need.
It's not a want, is it?
No.
I'm going to throw this back at me now because that was a bit unfair on you. Do I need chocolate?
Do you?
I do need chocolate to satisfy my craving. But no.
Oh, no.
Serious note, that is a big want. That's a big desire, isn't it? A craving.
So yeah, needs versus wants. Actor Will Rogers, who famously once said, too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want to impress people they don't like.
This is a real key quote to sum up those people that are maybe trying to, and I'm going to coin another little phrase, keep up with the Joneses.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard that for a while.
I know, it's an old one, that, isn't it? But people will buy something because they're told a celebrity wears this type of branded clothing, or the brand new whatever phone is out now. You must have this on adverts on TV.
Oh my gosh, and how expensive are they? They're over £1,000.
I know, I can't believe that.
No, it's a phone. It's a phone.
It's a phone. And when the new model comes out, it's not actually that much different from the old model.
No.
But we buy into it and think that we need it, and it is actually a desire. It's a massive desire, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many times as well do people buy a new car, get really excited about the new car smell, love the fact, say, I'm going to clean this every week, and then clean it 3 times at the most?
Yes, that's true.
It sums up how quickly the novelty wears off.
Shiny new objects.
That's the one. We've talked about cars and big stuff. We've also talked about small things like ice cream. We talked about tea, but I'm going to flip it round to coffee now. What about buying coffee?
Oh, yeah, we had this discussion quite a number of years ago. Quite often, if we were out and we were travelling to a school or doing something, I would say, I've got to stop, I need to get a coffee. And then we started looking at it and did I actually need that coffee or did I want that coffee? Depending on where you go, that cup of coffee can cost you anything from about £1.80 up to sort of £4 or £5. And if you're doing that a few times a week or a few times a day, all of a sudden that cost is increasing, isn't it?
It is.
I sat and thought about it and I thought, actually, no, I don't really need that coffee. However, if we're on a long journey, if we're going to a school and it's a good 2-hour drive, I will like to stop and have that break from driving. And a cup of coffee sometimes is really, really nice. So I've literally cut that right back because it isn't something that I desperately need. It's just something I thought I wanted.
That's it. And the other week we did a podcast called H for Habits. And this is a massive habit of people's. I'm going to do your coffee analogy here. Let's say we'll go in the middle and say a cup of coffee from a major chain costs around about £3.50.
Yeah, it's about that, I think.
Let's say somebody buys one of them every single day. So just one we're talking about. That's £17.50 a week.
Wow.
And let's imagine they work 48 weeks a year. So they get, say, 4 weeks holiday on average. That is £840 spent on 1 cup of coffee a day. Imagine you have 2 cups of coffee a day. That's over £1,500. That's a holiday. Stop drinking your coffee, go on holiday.
I think that's what we did. We actually sat down and we did that exercise of needs versus wants. What do you actually need as opposed to what you actually want? And these were some of the things that we looked at, didn't we? And it's a brilliant exercise to do. And especially when you look at it on the monetary side like that, then you can see the difference by not doing it can make.
I'm going to go back to that Will Rogers quote. Too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't want to impress people they don't like. I love that quote. And if we ramp it up back to the cars again,
yeah,
I had a conversation with somebody quite recently who told me that they weren't impressed with fast cars. They weren't really bothered. They had a job. They worked their way up to a sales manager type position and got given a really, really top of the range car. And they said once they got behind the wheel of this car, because it was a bit quicker, they all of a sudden had the desire to drive a bit quicker. They used to pull up alongside people at traffic lights and start racing them. Now, why would you race somebody at the traffic lights? Because you're probably never going to see that person in their life again. So this is a great way of thinking that that person, okay, he got a company car, but people go out sometimes and buy a big fast car to impress all those people they don't like and then race them. It's quite bizarre when we think about all these things that we do, don't we?
It is bizarre. I'm just going to chuck a question in there. For example, what about sleep? Now, we all need to sleep. There is no question about that. Quality sleep is vital, absolutely vital. But what happens when we have too much of it?
Oh, wow, that's a really great question. And again, we go back to the teenagers trying to sleep all day and stay awake all night and upsetting the body clock. Sometimes you sleep too much. It can actually make you feel more tired, more lethargic and struggle to focus. So sleep is a necessity. We need it.
Yeah.
We talk to teenagers who want to sleep, especially in the daytime when they're at school and they should be working.
Listening to us.
Yeah, well, listening to us, of course. But then they want to sleep at the wrong times. And I'm sure there's many adults out there that do that as well. So regulating your body clock. Funny enough, we've done a podcast called Z is for Z's. You need to go back and listen to that one as well. That's 2 we've got in there. H for Habits and Z is for Z's.
But sleep is definitely a need. Yeah, monitor that you're not getting too much or too little. Make sure that you're getting the average that you need to keep yourself in your healthiest state. But I'm going to kick something else in here. Who's heard of what's called emotional spending?
Oh, I've heard of that, definitely.
Yeah.
Impulse buys.
Impulse buying. So yeah, it's when you go and buy something that you may not need to maybe ease your emotions. Now, I am guilty of this. I have done this and probably still do this. So if you're feeling perhaps a little bit stressed or a bit sad, quite often going out and buying yourself a new top, a new pair of shoes or something does lift your emotions for a second, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a very quick fix, isn't it? I remember reading a report when we went into lockdown, and a lot of people were obviously really, really struggling at that time, and sales of online shopping massively rose as well because people were impulse spending. So that's, again, a great example of how that impulse, how people reached out for something they didn't want. And I guess it's like saying don't go food shopping when you're hungry, because you end up buying all the things that are going to satisfy your hunger, but you can't eat them because you're in the shop.
Do you know, it's true though. I try not to do that now, because if I'm hungry when I shop, I see everything and think, oh yeah, I really want that, I really want that. Well, that looks really good. And you end up thinking, well, when am I going to eat that?
So how can we control our emotional spending?
Well, there's different ways that you can do it. A great way to get rid of it is delete those shopping apps and those email newsletters you get, particularly if it's clothes or sports stuff or whatever that you've signed up for. If you delete them, they're not going to be put into your mind.
And don't watch the adverts when you're on watching TV.
Yeah, don't watch the adverts. Here's a good one. So if you're going out and you know you're going to go into town or you're going to go somewhere where the opportunity to possibly buy something is going to be there, don't take your credit cards.
Oh, that's a good idea, isn't it? Yeah, because it's really easy just to tap a card nowadays as well. Whereas maybe years ago when we used to pay with cash, we knew exactly how much cash we got. But now it's just easy to tap or put your PIN number in and spend some money, isn't it?
Yeah. And something I saw, and I think it's brilliant, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier, about understanding some of those things that you buy because you think you want them, but actually you don't want them, like the coffee, for example, and how much that could actually cost you in the long term. How about to control that, have a weekly money meeting with your budget?
Oh, that sounds
I
fabulous.
think that sounds fantastic.
My friend actually talked about this a few years ago, about writing down every single penny you spend for a week. And we actually put this into one of our online programs. I think it was the W for Wonga section, which is all about money. So it's a real pain to write everything down. It can be a real task to try and remember all those things. But if you do it, it's really shocking about how much money you would spend on a regular day, on a regular thing, like the cup of coffee.
Yeah, things that you don't need. I mean, it's absolutely spot on to go and buy the things that you do need, like the internet. No.
And the holidays.
And the holidays. We all need the food. We need all those things that we spoke about earlier.
Chocolate, tea.
That's absolutely fine. But it's a good practice just to see a little bit where your money's going on things that you don't actually need.
So that brings us nicely to our conclusion, which is our call to action for our listeners. I'm going to challenge our listeners to have a weekly money meeting with your budget. This is so exciting.
Just going to get all your money out and say, hello.
Hello, have a meeting. We'll all sit around the table. You can be the board members. But no, joking aside, set yourself a challenge to log down your spending for a week. Look at where you spend the money. Look at what you spend the money on, what you need and what you want. There is no problem with buying things that you want sometimes and having those desires, because I will definitely keep spending money on holidays.
Yes.
But we are good at budgeting and we know how to set a plan for that. So that's our little call to action.
Yes, have a money meeting with your budget.
Brilliant. That's it for this week. So if you want to get in touch with us and find out a bit more about the Future Toolbox, you can go to our website, which is futuretoolbox.co.uk. You can also connect with us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us both on LinkedIn. So we look forward to catching you next week for our next podcast.
We do. So bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Z2A of Life Skills with Jules and Mark of the Future Toolbox. Don't forget to head over to their website, which is futuretoolbox.co.uk, where you can find lots of free resources, plus a host of books in the store, as well as subscribing to the membership site. Follow Future Toolbox Instagram, TikTok and Facebook at Future Toolbox, and subscribe to their YouTube channel too.